Welcome back, everyone. Well, I don't have to tell you if you live here that you know that we're very fortunate in that we're living in a community that is growing rapidly. And of course, with that, you have to manage the growth. And something that I'd like you to think about. It's not only about expanding for economic growth, but about retention for economic growth. And joining me is somebody who knows more about this than all of us put together, and that's Marty Vanags, who is the president of the Saratoga County Prosperity Partnership.
Very good.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here again.
Marty and I first met about a year ago, which is when you just about came on board, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a year ago, but yeah, I came on board about May 4th of last year, and I've been enjoying it ever since.
Yeah, you know, you're so well suited for this position, I'll tell you.
Oh, thank you.
Not only did Marty appear here, but you appeared on Beyond the Headlines.
Yes, that was fun.
And I still hear about that interview.
Oh, good.
You made such a favorable impression
Great.
with that. Part of that is, of course, your experience, and part of it is who you are. So it's been about a year. A war story or two, perhaps, or you want to tell me how's it been?
Well, you know, when you start a new organization, whether it's a nonprofit like we started or it's a business, for-profit business, you're building. You're constantly building. You're growing things. You're adding staff, and so we've done a lot of that. We're building the structure, the foundation that's required to make a business or a nonprofit, an economic development organization like ours grow, and so we're doing well. I think the most important thing that we've done is to put together a strategy, and we call it the Saratoga strategy.
Yeah. Right, yeah, gotcha. You know, I opened with something you and I were talking about before we went on air, which is people tend to think that economic growth only comes by expansion. Oh, you have to grow, you have to expand, but retention is particularly important to you, and I know it.
Yes.
And I was really glad to hear that.
Yes.
I'm a business owner.
Right.
You know, so tell us about retention.
So we are launching right now, as we speak, a business retention and expansion program. And what that is in my world, in the economic development world, we often call it BRE because it's easier to say business retention and expansion.
Right.
But it is a process in which we go out and visit with businesses and listen to them. And then when we're done listening to them, we listen again, and then we listen again. And the idea is to understand what obstacles they face in growing, what they need as a company, what they need as perhaps a business sector to expand, to grow, to prosper in the place they're in. And if we can do that early enough, and if we can find commonalities perhaps between that business and other businesses, then we can reach into our economic development toolbox and do a lot for them.
Well, you know what? That's a pretty extensive toolbox, by the way, right? The whole thought there of listening. Two things happen, of course, is that you really do understand the challenges that a business, small or large, a business my size, a business much larger than mine, would face. And then you have the opportunity of cross-pollinating my business with someone else's business.
Yeah.
Opportunity for both of those businesses then to seek some economic development.
I mean, on a very simple level, if we went out and we came over and talked to you about your business and you talked about how you operate, if there's a supply chain, for example, of, say, talent that you work with on an everyday basis, and we go meet with some other media companies or other companies in your realm, and they say the same thing, all of a sudden that tells me, hey, maybe we ought to be concentrating on attracting that kind of talent to our community. They can get jobs here, they can work with you, they can work with other companies, and all of a sudden we've got growing businesses. It's as simple as that. It might be, for a larger business, again, a supply chain issue. Maybe there's some raw material that they use, that other companies use. That becomes an attraction target. That becomes a target or a company or a sector that we want to go out and attract to the area. They save money by lower shipping costs. The company that is buying that product, they save money. So all of a sudden we've got growth in two different sectors.
Now, as part of this BRE plan, you're forming partnerships with the chambers.
Yes.
Very important part of this, because collectively the talent pool and the skill set that you've got with these organizations really puts a lot of power behind what you're saying.
Yeah.
Which organizations?
So we have the Chamber of Southern Saratoga County.
Pete
Bardunias, yes. And then also the Saratoga Chamber here in Saratoga Springs with Todd Shimkus. And we've already spent a little time doing some training on business retention expansion, how to go out and visit people, why it's important. We've got their staffs and our staffs having met and worked with our consultant on that. And then we're also going to be doing some more training, but we'll all be out talking to businesses and learning what they need and how we can help them.
Now, you mentioned in passing business sectors. I have to read off my sheet on this one. The 5 key ones that you mentioned to me were agriculture, advanced manufacturing, business,
Back office
practices, research and development, warehouse distribution.
Yes.
Now, as we all know, we're a key distribution center for the big boys like Target,
And Ace,
or like Ace
yep.
Hardware,
Right.
right? You see those
Yep.
down in Wilton area. We also have a huge technology base here
Yep.
with the foundry coming
Yep.
in and all of those supporting companies. So that's a pretty big agenda.
Oh, it is a big agenda, but it doesn't take much to visit and find out which companies are growing. I always like to say if we can help 20 companies with 10 new jobs each, that's 200 jobs right there. That's pretty easy. I wouldn't say maybe I'm going too far. It's easier than trying to find a company to come from outside the area with 200 jobs. And let's say one of those companies, sometimes they're startups and startups fail. What if one of those companies fails? Then you're down to 190 jobs. If that 200-person company decides to take advantage of tax incentives in another state or move their operations overseas, now you've lost 200 jobs.
Right.
I think spending a lot of time on those local companies, helping those smaller companies be more effective and efficient is going to be very beneficial to the community and deepens the roots of those companies and makes us stronger.
Well, you know what? I think that's a very important point. Economic growth, you hear this said a lot, and we hear it in our business a lot, which is that, it's easier to re-up a client than to go find a new client.
Right.
You've started the relationship with that client, you understand each other, you've listened to each other, and it's to make that grow. Well, that's the same thing. Add 10 jobs to an existing company.
Yep.
You add 10 jobs to 10 companies, that's pretty good biz.
Absolutely.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think the takeaway on this one, Marty, is really if you're a business out there, small business, you could be a business our size, you could be a much larger business, is to contact the Prosperity Partnership.
Yes.
Find out what the heck's going on, right?
And we've given this a brand name. We call it Business First Saratoga.
Great.
And you can find information about it on businessfirstsaratoga.com.
Okay.
And there's actually a little, not an application, but you fill in the blanks and we'll be calling you back and setting up an interview. Or you can call us at 871-1887. We'd be happy to talk to you and maybe you have some questions about it. We have, very strong confidentiality on all these visits, and so we're not going to be blurting out any trade secrets or anything. So, we can work with any company and work with them well.
Well, you know what? That puts the word partnership in the word partnership.
That's right. Yep.
You know what I mean? It sounds to me like a very proactive initiative.
Yep.
And hats off to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
For taking that and combining your talents with the chamber, both those chambers, and also looking out to say, hey, if you're an existing business here, we've got as you put it, a vast tool chest to pull from.
And just real quickly, we're going to add more partners to this as we move through the year. So I didn't even mention that to you earlier, but we want other people to be part of this, not only on reaching out to companies, but on serving those companies as well. So we're going to build this into a pretty strong network over the next several years.
Oh, great, Marty. Thank you for taking the time to
thank
come
you
in.
very
I know
much.
you're very busy.
Yes.
Happy anniversary.
Always appreciate coming.
Yeah,
thank you.
Welcome. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.